G'day, I'm Jake, welcome to CROC. My little bandsaw. It's an awesome little bandsaw. The only issue is this stand. It's too bloody short. I've got those roller stands. They sit up about here, so you can't use them at all, which really annoyed me. So today, I'm going to build a little bigger stand for this thing. And it's going to have wheels with locks. And it's going to be much wider so I can put rollers on the stand. Stick around. Alright, so there is the issue. Piece of steel is not sitting on the bed properly, and that's as low as that thing goes. That silver pole that goes in there, it is bottomed out in the bottom. I have cut that much out of it and dropped it down. It's still too tall. The only way you could do it is to chop some out of there, and I don't want to do that. So the top of the bed to the floor is 61 centimeters or 2 foot. The table I want to build for it is going to be 900 millimeters or 90 centimeters or 3 foot. They're about 3 foot something. So to bring it up to a nice working height. Possibly it's about as high as the little forklift here. You just look. I'm standing up comfortably. Let's put a piece of steel on it and away it goes. The only sort of downside to that is I won't be able to use this in its vertical position, which I never have and probably never will, because I'll have to be standing back here trying to reach into the blade, and I don't want to be doing that. And I've got no reason to use the bandsaw like that anyway. So I've got a quick drawing, chopped out the steel on the bandsaw. So it's going to be 1100 4 foot, so almost the size of this welding fixture table, which isn't very big. So I'll get it set up, laid out, and use the clamps I just made to hold it all together. All right, check that out. Everything's clamped, it's all square. I'm not doing miters. There's no point, there's no need. Pretty happy. I was considering moving this over to one side, or I think just in the center would be fine. That way I can put like a height adjustable roller here, because the bandsaw itself is going to be sitting up, that high from there, so I can have a little bit of adjustability with a roller or whatnot. Probably don't need to. All this extra space around it is going to house, so with the legs it's going to have shelves, and all my offcuts are going to go on the shelves. So it's going to double as scrap storage, and half of that scrap will end up being put into this for like braces and gusseting and shelves and whatnot. So I like to have a good supply of that around to use on projects like this. There it is, welded and ground. Pretty happy. Now I'm going to design the rest of it. Be pretty straightforward really. 4 legs and a shelf. Maybe a bit. I've got this little tub down here that catches most of the chips. I'm not going to bother putting coolant or anything on it, doesn't need it. If I was cutting billet, like solid chunks of steel or aluminium, which I won't be doing. It'll all just be RHS and the occasional bit of round stock hollow. But yeah, 4 legs and a shelf coming up. Right, so I want this tub to sit underneath the bandsaw, so I'm just going to sit it so it sits on these 2 lips. Won't be much weight in it, it'll just be chips, and the bloody train's going past. So that's the basic layout: 1 shelf, 2 shelf. That's the tub sitting underneath, like I showed you before on my measurements. The side view, and then sort of like a 3D. Just gonna have, you know, bits of metal all over the place, so I can shove all that stuff in there. If I do have some wood laying around, I've got sort of earmarked for another project I just did, which I didn't film, which I probably could have. I'll go show you in a minute. Well, that was a quick minute. This I built just for fiberglassing stuff. It's got push to open drawers, so I can easily pull out my gel coat. There's PVA cast brushes. The other one's got resin. You can't have them both out at the same time because it'll fall on you. And it's locked in there now. So if I try and pull it out, it's not coming. I have to push it and it'll come out, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, these are the wheels I'm going to be using on the bandsaw stand project. They roll really nice and quietly on this floor. They're not rubber, but they're not plastic. I'm not sure what they're made out of. Polyurethane. Sweet. So that once the bandsaw's on there, it's going to live up against this shiny wall, shiny part of the wall, and then the fixture table lives in there. I can easily move the fixture table out with this little forklift thingy I got, which is proved invaluable. I can lift 400 kilos or 880 pounds, which is perfect for what I'm using it for, a workbench. Yeah, it can lift pretty tall, like over 6 foot, I think. So it says it down there. But I just use this bad boy to pick this up and move it wherever I want. Back to the table, stand, thingy, storage, bandsaw, doodad. Okay, so there's 3 of the horizontal bits. And I've picked out all this stuff that I'm gonna clean up and mold together. This will be the fourth horizontal bit. Weld that one under there and trim it to size. And just, you know, clean up all the old bits and pieces that I welded to it. I made a cage for my tandem trailer. That's where all this stuff has been recycled from to transport the floppy body 32 there. Because there's absolutely nothing holding this body on here, I had to build a cage, box in the cage with wood, so this thing wouldn't get destroyed by the wind. Because it's just literally sitting there, nothing holding it on there. It's just sitting on these little blocks, which you'll see in another video. So that's where I got all this steel from. I've got 2 full lengths behind the mini rod over there. I want to try and use as much of this scrap as I can to build this table. Yeah, because there's a lot of steel going into this. So I might eliminate these 4 pieces here running that way, just have one in the middle and then get some timber or something, or have the top one open and have timber on the bottom. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I'll figure it out when I get to it, I suppose. Yeah, I'm going to clean this stuff up, weld it together, and you don't need to see that because it's boring. Got all these welded together. Now it's time to build this table. I'm going to put it on a time lapse. And there it is, on all 4 wheels. I just quickly welded this up. It's still hot, so it'll melt this tub, but it sits like that. These things, little studs, stop it from sliding off sideways. And I just put that on there to hold them apart. That'll stay on. I'll gap weld it. Maybe it's fine. So now I'm going to set the bandsaw on here, so I know exactly where to put that thing. And I'll cut out some tabs that'll be drilled and tapped. That'll house, well, it'll accommodate these bolts. And there is 6 of them, I believe. Yep, 6 of them. So I'm going to take this off its stand, set it up on there. I might cut the tabs out with it first. Yeah, I'll do that. Cut tabs. Well, that was a nightmare getting these things on here. I had bandsaw sitting in place, came in from underneath, put these in, and because of the limited space, I could barely get tacks on it. So I ended up having the wire hanging out like 1.5 inches, 2 inches, just going bzz, 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 bzz on it. They stuck there, thankfully. They're all welded on. I welded this guy on. Wait for it to all cool down because there's electrical in here. I don't want to burn it up. It's just like scalding from heat. That thing is super janky sitting on there. Yeah, wait for it to cool down, drill tap, bob's your uncle. There it is, bolted on, finished for now. Still got to do the shelves, obviously. Thinking about putting some sort of timber top on that one, and then sort of like a C or a U shape one on that side so the chip catcher can still catch its chips. But more importantly, I know it's almost fully extended, but it works. That is sitting level on the bed. That is holding it up. The clamp's not even holding it. That was the aim, as well as, you know, storage. Storage is always handy. But yeah, happy. Just went and put those bits of wood on. Still got my chip catcher. Yeah, pretty good. It's just a couple of screws holding it down. Doesn't need much. Mainly it's just going to have tape measure. All the stuff over there. Tape measure WD-40. Mainly in like a texter or something. Under here, I've decided I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 bits going across that way. And then down the bottom, just some timber I got laying around. I'll show you when it's finished. And there it is, it's all finished, stacked up with all my scrap metal. Very happy with it. It's got my spare bandsaws on there, extra room for clutter, and I ended up putting this on there. It's just a simple, nicely fitting piece of metal that the roller insert slides into perfectly, and I can easily take it out, or if I want to do a weird angle, a slight angle, I can just raise this up slightly and cut a slight angle in that. Overall, I'm very pleased with it. Thanks for watching.